And welcome everybody to another Smart Money Circle show. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is a very special guest, Scott Acheychek, who's the CEO of Rex Shares with approximately 4 billion in AUM. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time and welcome to the Smart Money Circle.
Awesome being here, Adam. Thank you.
So I always like to begin, Scott, can you tell us your story and a little bit about how you got to where you are today, please?
Sure. Yeah. My story is probably a little bit different than a lot of financial professionals that you have on. I grew up in a very blue collar town. My dad worked in public works, and my mom was a bookkeeper. Kind of fast forward, the whole childhood thing and get into college. I put myself through college. So I was in school for 7 years, and I'm not a doctor. I was basically going to school at night and working by day. So I had all kinds of jobs. I did overnight security in like empty office buildings, which was the creepiest thing in the world. Manual labor jobs like laying tile in for kitchens and baths and stuff like that. I also somehow got a finance job. There was a like retirement plan company near where I grew up that focused on basically like best of breed managers. So if you think about like, this is late 90s, I'm kind of dating myself, obviously. But you had like Bill Gross as the dominant bond fund manager, like Janice was the dominant equity manager, like Royce was the dominant small cap manager. So what they did was actually pretty cool. Like a lot of those funds were closed off to individuals to invest. But through this firm, they were able to wrap them. They still had access to those managers. I'm sure they just charged fees on top of fees and split the profits or whatever. But I didn't really know what was going on. But it was really cool to have like a firsthand view of these best of breed managers and how people are just chasing to get allocations to them. So that kind of really ignited a passion of mine in finance. And then on the college front, well, those are all my day jobs. And then on the college front, I would say like my first like 60 credits, I was more or less going to different schools that fit my work schedule. So I ended up going to 3 or 4 different colleges to grab credits that were all like elective based and math based. And then I rolled them all into one college to get a math degree. Basically, I didn't choose my school based on, I don't know, sports or frats or anything like that. I chose it based on what can allow me to work by day and go to school at night quickly. So, long story short, yes, in 7 years, I got a math degree. And I kind of got lucky. One of my math classmates' brother worked on Wall Street at Lehman Brothers
Oh, nice.
and basically told his sister that, hey, if you know any smart people that are in the finance, let me know. Like we're constantly always hiring on the operation side. So I got my Wall Street career, at Lehman Brothers in equity operations.
That's awesome. I love that story. So like you, I went to school 5 days a week and I worked 5 days a week. That's 10 days in
That's
a 7 day week. So I fully, my
that's
heart goes
right.
out to you. So I love that. All right, let's talk about the business and please
Yeah.
give an overview and exactly what Rex does.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, so briefly on the Wall Street journey. So I started at Lehman Brothers. I was in equity operations, and basically started working on like technology. That was like the goal was to make like the traditional sales or trader guy almost like a dinosaur. So as you try to think about your career aspirations, when you kind of see like firsthand they're building technology to get rid of people, you want to kind of switch around a little bit. So I switched from like a basic equity role to structured products. And that's like creating bonds and options, kind of packaging them for some kind of defined outcome. And then from there, I went to AIG, which was very interesting at the time, and then spent some time in commodities at Citibank before joining Greg King at RecShare. So that kind of is where I am now. I joined him, very early days, right around the very first product launch in 2016. And Rex is a very unique firm. I mean, we specialize in these alternative strategy ETFs. We focus, basically almost anywhere. Like we have a bunch of trading products. So our whole goal there is like, can we create something that's super unique that nobody's doing before? And we've done that. We were the first ones to launch like 3 times FANG stocks. If you want a day trading product, there's a fun one for you. But we also have things on gold miners and big banks and whatnot. And then on the ETF side, there were a bunch of people launching leveraged single stocks. So we partnered with, Matt Tuttle and Pete at Tuttle Capital and brought the first to market 2X single stock product. So we love the trading world. I mean, I have a portion of my portfolio that I actively trade. So, people are like, oh my God, leveraged inverse trading. It's so, it's terrible, but like, I love it. I do it myself. I create products that I would want to trade that I feel like are holes in the marketplace. And then, we also started launching some option income-based products, which we're super excited about. And that's more of your traditional buy and hold, and we plan on expanding that category.
I love that. And I know you have a very unique covered call strategy. Would you mind speaking about that, please?
Yeah, so like I said, we look at the marketplace and we try to make improvements or come up with first of market products. And I feel like our covered call product, it's the ticker FEPI, does just that. So it's long the Fang and Friends, basically Fang and Friends index. So 15 big tech stocks, the ones that are basically driving the market every day anyway. And then we're selling calls on those individual names, not an index. So you're not dampered by like cross correlations. If you look at like the S&P or a NASDAQ based covered call strategy, I don't know, what are you yielding, like 10, 12%, give or take? By selling vol on the individual names, we're getting two things out of that. One, it's a lot more volatile. So
Yeah.
there's a lot more, we're able to go a little bit further outside the money. So we're actually solving that covered call dilemma in terms of NAV appreciation. So we've had some very good NAV appreciation in this big tech market. And then also, again, because it's, higher vol, we're getting, bigger distribution. So our distribution, we've had 3 so far, and each one's over 25% annualized.
Oh, I love that. So before we go on to the next question, you
Yeah.
mentioned there are pockets and holes in the market for the active traders. What are some of those, if you don't mind sharing, on a big level?
Yeah, I meant more along the lines of, if you look at the world of levered and inverse trading, for a long time, it was a duopoly between two firms. And basically, the SEC mandated that. They said, oh my God, these levered and inverse things are crazy. We don't know what we're going to do. Only two people can ever issue these things.
Right.
So what we did, we actually partnered with a bank and issued ETNs. So that was like our little pocket in there. And what
Oh,
we
okay.
what we basically found was like a number of gaps out there, right? Like if people want to trade levered NASDAQ, that's fine. That's 100 stocks. I don't think people fully realize what's in there, which includes things like Costco or Starbucks or something like that. We
Yeah.
created more defined exposure for those pockets, whether that's like just the maybe 10 big FANG stocks or just the 10 biggest US banks in the US. Like you think about financial indices, I
Yeah.
mean, they cover the gamut, right? It's like pockets of credit card companies, banks, lenders, everything. And we created some products that are based on just literally the 10 biggest banks in the United States.
I love that.
When I meant new categories, it was just that like pockets of innovation that we're lacking.
Beautiful. Thank you for that clarification. And some
Yeah,
competitive advantages that you have going forward that you'd like to share with investors, please.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of a repeat of what I was just talking about. The some of the advantages we have are, our personnel. Like my partner that I mentioned before, Greg King. I mean, him and I, used to cover the biggest of big like pension plans and hedge funds and asset managers. So understanding their needs firsthand, talking to them directly, and then falling in love with this ETF world and bringing those kind of strategies to the marketplace is something I don't think a lot of people have. I think there's a lot of ETF livers, and that's great. Obviously, I love the industry, but fully understanding what the institutional like people are thinking and doing, and trying to bring that to the masses is a very unique advantage. Let alone that most of our background is on options and swaps and futures, like very much alternatives. So we whiteboard out a lot of different ideas and try to see what we could fit into the ETF structure. And I guess a quick side note. So I met Greg King actually as a client. So I was helping him launch the very first ETNs in the United States, which were based on the Dow Jones AIG Commodity Index. So we actually partnered up on those products. He launched them while he was at Barclays, and we basically he was a client, became friend, and we just kind of stayed in touch over the years. And when he created Rex, he asked me to join, and I jumped on it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you very much
Yeah.
for that. Let's talk about risk. How do you handle risk, and what are some mistakes you see people make with respect to risk management?
Yeah, I would say, on the risk fronts, we don't manage personal money. We, have these exchange traded products. So, we end up working with all the big regulatory bodies on and fitting into a specific set of listing rules and bringing those products to market. So, we can't just like launch, XYZ chaos fund or something like that. Like
Right.
it's got to fit some specific rules for listing requirements. But and also like for the trading of our products, we rely on some of the like the best of the best. We work with Biden Vita Financial, which oversees billions of dollars of trading products. And on our recent T-Rex launch, so we partnered with Tuttle. He's like a best of breed manager when it comes to these like active, like levered and inverse kind of products. So surround yourself with great partners goes a very long way when it comes to managing risk.
No, I love that. Yeah, Tuttle's been a big fan. I'm a big fan of his. He's been on the show before. He's just an absolute next level guy. So big fan. Let's talk about timeless lessons you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with the audience, please.
Yeah, when I think of timeless lessons, I really think of two that I talk about and share. And the first is like literally old school. It's like the things to do list, like for me, working by day, going to school at night, like you just can't forget stuff. Like it's not okay to say like, hey, I had a job and I missed my homework assignment. So literally not slipping up, not forgetting something, having that robust like checklist. I mean, it's something I do with my kids today. It's like if I leave them home, it's like, here's the list of things to do, and there's a box right next to it. And
Right.
it feels empowering to check that box and get things done. So that's one. And then two is, something that I benefit from is just, hiring people that are passionate for your industry. And that's, that transcends just the finance world, right? Like if I had two candidates and, one is like the greatest education ever or something like that, and the other one, maybe a lesser school, even a lesser GPA, but they have a sheer passion for what I'm doing. I mean, they're going to add whether it's more value immediately and long term just from that.
Yeah.
So, hiring people with a passion is super meaningful to me. So hopefully is that good? How's that for a
Yeah, that's
timeless
great.
lesson?
No, that's great. So time, let's talk about timeless mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, timeless mistakes. Um, you know, I think I think it's getting more and more pronounced. It's this shiny object disease where people basically like just get distracted and lose focus of like what they need to do or even like what their core competencies are because there's something shiny that they must go, they must chase.
Right.
So I think it's great to, explore new things, new avenues and all that stuff. But not at the cost of what you're, what you're supposed to be doing or, at some kind of greater cost.
Yeah, no, that's really, really powerful.
And
How about
yeah, and basically a shiny object, again, for kids is like the phone, right? The screen. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like we can go off on a tangent. Let's just stay focused
Yeah.
here. I'm passionate about that stuff too. It's like I call it scramble eggs. A little, the brain
Oh,
turns.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about leadership. What makes a great leader, and what are some lessons you've learned about leadership that you'd like to share with the audience, please?
Yeah, I think, I think maybe because I didn't have that more traditional kind of like, finance kind of background, I kind of just learned a lot from like just sweating and reading and having like a zest for markets. So I've been, very fortunate to have a couple leaders that really stood out. And the best are the ones that set clear expectations, have an open door policy, have some kind of personal connection with their employees. Ideally, they have an understanding of what your job is. I think I'd much rather have a boss that's either been in my seat or maybe still has a like job day-to-day responsibilities and is not necessarily focused on like TPS reports or something along those lines.
Mhm.
I think it's also important to be humble. Understand that we're all in this together. I mean, again, like the very best I've had is like I think of these guys by the names like Jim Haas and John Liebergal, just literally being the best player coaches I could ever imagine. And then Greg King, I've worked with him now. Like he's not shy about bringing some people together. Let's go in a conference room and let's whiteboard some things out. Let's whiteboard some ideas out. Let's see what we could do to add value to our clients or expand our businesses. So I really try my hardest to kind of take their lessons and instill them almost every day.
No, I love that. Let's talk about adversity. How do you handle adversity, and what are some obstacles that you had to overcome along the way that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, for adversity for me, as a guy that I told you my background, I mean, I'm sure you'll be surprised that I try to face them just absolutely head on. Figure out what the ramifications are. I think for probably the longest time, I would probably do things more on my own, and just figure, I got myself here. Let me get out of it. That kind of approach. As I get older, it's definitely more of a team approach, and this could be like on a personal or professional level. It's, surround yourself with great people, and, and it's taken me a while to get to this way, but like really have a valued understanding for outside, just different viewpoints,
Yeah.
and kind of take them into consideration and be a little bit more thoughtful in certain approaches to adversities.
I love that. So instead of just thinking you could do it all yourself, it's like, hey, hold on a second. It's good to ask for help type of a thing. That makes, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And that's definitely hasn't been my strong suit, but it's something I'm definitely working on.
I love that. And then finally,
Um,
sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, and then you're going to say like an example.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, I started at AIG, and basically you're handed like a phone and a Bloomberg. So this is at a point in my career where I've been part of teams, right? And it's just like, how can you, be successful on a team, help some people out, work on some larger things. But like, my first job at AIG was basically like, here's a phone, here's a Bloomberg, go figure out how to make money, right? So moving from a team centric approach to figuring out how to be a business, how to be an entrepreneur. And that's been, super, super helpful for me. And I kid you not, like RecShares literally started two guys and a dog in a house trying to figure out how to attack the ETF world and what makes sense, what strategies can we launch, how do we make a mark? So all of those, facing that kind of adversity, especially early on, has been amazing for me.
I love that. So, best piece of advice you'd like to share with the audience or give your 30-year-old self?
Um, Best advice. All right. So 30 yourself, I think might be two different things. So 30 yourself would be actually that's a pretty easy one. I got engaged when I was 30. So I would say don't screw this up. She is the one. Don't stop doubting.
Yeah.
And on the work front, it's more or less like, thank you. Throw that out there. She'll probably watch this. On the work front, just keep working hard, stay passionate. Don't doubt yourself. I mean, when I was 30, keep in mind, I wasn't that far along into my career. It was still very early days. So keep pushing, keep fighting hard, and stay passionate for what you believe.
Beautiful. Well, Scott, thank you so much.
And most importantly, check
Great,
those
yeah.
boxes. Check all the boxes on the things to do list.
Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, you remind me of Ben Franklin's quote about failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So it's either you're preparing to win or you're just not preparing and then you're preparing to fail. So not checking those boxes or not having a to-do list to begin with kind of is like, oh, just let's wake up today and see where the wind blows us type of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
very true.
Yeah, I love that. All right, beautiful. Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. What's the best way for people to learn more about RecShares?
Yeah, come to rexshares.com, REX shares.com. You can learn about some of our trading products and also our FEPI product that I just spoke about.
Beautiful. Well, thanks, Scott. Hopefully we'll have you on again soon. This has been great.
Awesome, Adam. Thank you.